So, what does it really take to keep some of the world's most incredible animals safe and healthy? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a pretty high tech sanitation system, one designed specifically for the unique, complex world of a zoo. Let's dive in.
Okay, so you look at a scene like this and you probably think, wow, what a perfect natural habitat, right? But here's the thing, what you can't see is the constant, invisible war being waged on every single surface. It's a microscopic battle against threats that could put these incredible animals in serious danger.
And that really gets to the heart of the matter. I mean, think about it. You've got a place with hundreds of different species, you have staff coming and going, visitors. So, what's the one threat that is always there? All right, section one, the zoo's invisible threat. Let's dig into the core problem that this whole system was designed to tackle in the first place. So, the big issue here is what the source material calls a constant biological load. And it makes perfect sense when you stop and think about it, right? You've got tons of different animals packed into one area. That is a recipe for cross-contamination. Microbes are just having a field day on every surface, which turns places like quarantine zones into potential powder kegs for disease outbreaks. And if that wasn't enough, you've also got expensive animal feed going bad and the wear and tear from harsh chemical cleaners. It's a huge, complicated mess. So the question is, how in the world do you fight an enemy you can't even see? Well, the answer is pretty fascinating. It actually comes from an ancient element, but it's applied with some seriously modern science. Let's get into section two, silver's microscopic power. Okay, so the secret sauce here is something called colloidal silver. And you know what's really interesting? It's what's not in it. This isn't some crazy chemical cocktail. It's basically a stable, water-based system that has these tiny, we're talking nano-sized particles of pure silver floating in it. That's it. No chlorine, no alcohol, none of those aggressive chemicals you might expect. So how does this stuff actually work? Well, it's a really simple but kind of brilliant three-step takedown. First, the little silver particles basically glom onto the outside of microorganisms, things like bacteria and fungi. Then, that interaction completely messes up their internal machinery. It just disrupts their key functions and shuts them down. And the final blow? The microbes are totally suppressed. They just can't reproduce on that surface anymore. Game over. And if you want to see the proof, well, here it is. On the left, you've got your standard petri dish just absolutely teeming with bacteria. But look at the one on the right. That one was treated with the silver solution, and this is after only 40 minutes. I mean, the difference is just staggering. The growth has been completely stopped dead in its tracks. You are literally watching the science work right before your eyes. Okay, so the science is clearly impressive, but how does this translate to the real world? The day-to-day grind of a super busy zoo? Well, that's what we're covering in Section 3, a proactive sanitation system. The first thing to know is that this system is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's got two different modes for different jobs. You've got Mode S, which is for your standard day-to-day cleaning in places like storage areas. But then you have Mode H. Think of this as the heavy-duty stuff. It's a stronger concentration, and it's for those really high-risk zones, like inside the animal enclosures, in quarantine, or around the food kitchens. And this table here lays out exactly how that targeted approach plays out. See how Mode H, the heavy-duty one, gets used daily, sometimes even twice a day, in the really critical spots like quarantine and the clinic? Meanwhile, Mode S is perfect for a weekly treatment in food storage. It's all about being strategic, putting the strongest defense right where you need it the most. Now, this is a really important point that the source material is very, very clear about. This whole system is designed for surfaces. If you're ever to think about using it in drinking water or feed, that can only happen under the strict, direct supervision of the facility's own veterinarian, following their internal rules. It just goes to show you, this is a professional-grade tool meant for a professional environment. All right, let's get even more practical now. Welcome to Section 4, From Surfaces to Spoilage. This is where we'll look at exactly how this system gets put to work every day, covering everything from cleaning out enclosures to stopping food from going bad. So here's the play-by-play for cleaning an animal enclosure. And it's really important to get this. This stuff isn't a magic wand. It's one step in a whole process. You still have to do the hard work first. Getting out all the bedding, the leftover food, all that organic stuff, and giving it a good scrub. Then you spray the solution on. You let it sit for about 15 minutes to do its thing, and this is a huge plus. You just let it air dry. No need to come back and rinse it all off. And its use goes way beyond just spraying surfaces. The system can also be put into what's called a dry fog generator. This thing can sanitize an entire room. getting into every last nook and cranny. And get this, it's also proposed for treating food. Things like meats, fruits, and veggies to help them stay fresh longer. That is a huge deal because food spoilage is a massive headache, both operationally and financially for any zoo. But of course, at the end of the day, this is a commercial proposal, so it has to make sense on the balance sheet. And that brings us to our final section, the economics of clean. Let's talk money. Okay, so the proposal kicks off with the sticker price. A 5-liter container of the concentrate is going to set you back $1,850. And yeah, that's a pretty chunky number up front, no doubt about it. But, and this is a huge but, that one single container goes an incredibly long way. Once you dilute it for the standard S mode, it makes, wait for it, 2,500 liters of the final ready-to-use solution. That is a ton of disinfectant. And when you break down the math, that brings your actual cost down to just 74 cents a liter. See? That completely changes the picture. Suddenly, it's not about that big initial price tag. It's about a really, really manageable cost for day-to-day operations. And this is where they make the big return on investment argument. So in their example, the monthly cost to run the system is around $178. Okay, but now think about this. Let's say that same zoo is losing $5,000 a month just from food going bad. If this system can cut that waste by just 10%, that's a savings of $500. The system literally pays for itself and then some, and that's not even counting the absolutely priceless benefit of having healthier animals. So it all comes down to a shift in perspective, doesn't it? The real question this whole proposal puts on the table is this. Is something like advanced sanitation just another line item expense? Or is it a strategic investment? An investment in the welfare of your animals, the safety of your staff, and yeah, even the long-term financial health of the whole operation? For any modern zoo or animal center, that is a really, really important question to think about.